Hello, welcome to my home. I'm Kelly Wilson. I am representing the mental health comedy contingent here in Portland. I want to thank Cascadia Behavioral Health for inviting me to participate in the Heart fundraiser event as a identifying woman who participates in the arts. So thank you. I want to talk about joy shortly. One thing that gives me joy right now over the last year actually is gardening. I used to garden in this bracelet that said joy, and then I lost the bracelet, so now I'm off the hook. So it's really helpful for me. I do comedy about mental health, and it turns out that comedy for mental illness is really good medicine. Not that I don't want you to take your prescription medicine, I absolutely do. Seriously, take your meds. But there's a popular saying called laughter is the best medicine. I'm not so sure about that. But it's definitely good for your brain. And one of the reasons it's so good for the brain is that it helps reframe our experiences, which is what I've done with comedy. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse for several years, and I have been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and anxiety on my healing journey. And I have been committed to healing for about 15 years, and so I've tried a variety of therapies, and comedy was one of the best ones that I invested in. Comedy, somebody who's doing stand-up comedy is simply telling a story, and storytelling is very artistic. It also is very helpful with mental health to be able to tell our stories for audiences of all ages and all kinds. It helps to end the stigma, and it helps people to feel more comfortable talking about things like suicide prevention, bipolar, schizoaffective disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. It gives more information, and it helps our brains. One of the things that comes up during our shows, while we tell jokes about our own mental health, is that people they feel really awkward about laughing at the jokes, and I don't blame them. I think that one of the important distinctions with our comedy is that we don't make fun of mental illness. We don't make fun of other people. What we do is we take our experiences and make fun of those to make them a little bit easier to live with. For a minute, talking about the stuff that people don't want to talk about is really important while we reframe our stories too. It helps us to become more comfortable with who we are and what we're going through on a daily basis. One of my therapists, yes, one of them, told me one time that physiologically excitement and nervousness manifest in the body in the same way. So some of what matters in dealing with these physiological feelings, these sensations in our bodies, is whether or not we decide to call it nervous or excited. So that said, I'm very excited to be here today. I'm going to give you a little taste of what my personal comedy is about. I have jokes that are all-time favorites, if not of other people, then of myself, that I like to tell. So, one thing you need to know about me is that I have been diagnosed lactose intolerant. Very bummer deal. So, no more cheese, no more ice cream, no dairy at all. I never considered myself intolerant. Sorry, lactose. But it turns out I am the Donald Trump of cheese. I have been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and anxiety. And one of the things that helps me with those is, especially since I miss cheese so much, is to reframe those as cheeses. So PTSD is a tangy Swiss. Depression, it's a mild Gouda. Anxiety is a sharp cheddar. And oh, let's not forget low self-esteem. That's Cheese Whiz. You can pour that on everything. Just ruins it. So, I like Cheese Whiz on Philly cheesesteaks, so whatever. I tried to put a fun run together once for low self-esteem, and nobody came. So, my gynecologist is the one who prescribes my antidepressants. Yes, I do take prescription meds. So you know you're depressed when even your crotch is sad. I was laying on the table. Honestly, I was laying on the table, feet in the stirrups. He says, relax your knees, scoot down. So I scoot down. And he starts, poking around down there. And he's like, hey, have you ever thought about taking antidepressants? And I was like, are you a lip reader now, or? So, I went to get my antidepressants filled. And another thing you need to know about me is that I was a teacher in an elementary school for 10 years in a part of my life. So I showed up at the pharmacy with my prescription in hand. And when I went to pick it up, behind the counter stood one of my former students. So she recognizes me. She goes to get my prescription. She flops it on this counter and she says, well, that explains a lot. Oh, that's nice. So I think I'll go ahead and stop there. That's my time. Thank you for showing up for some of the comedy for mental health. You can find me at wilsonwrites.com, and on Facebook you can find us at Mental Health at the Mic. We should start doing shows again as soon as we can out there in the world. So like us on Facebook to stay informed.